it is literally green food dye. Like, it is no different than if you were to do it in your kitchen. Like, they're using the same stuff. There's nothing fancy with it.
Welcome to Badger Beer Report. My name is Greg Washington. I am here with my friend Garth from Garth Beer Bar. How you doing, Garth?
Doing salad, man. Thanks for having me again. Looking forward to the chat today.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a fun time. We are here, y'all, to talk about on Monday, March 17th is St. Patty's Day. I like to call it St. Patty's Day, y'all. It's not St. Patty's Day. It's St. Patty's. It's St. Patrick's Day. But I was corrected, Garth, a couple years ago by a friend of ours who will remain nameless, told me that it's St. Patty's with two D's, not St. Patty's. So I'm going to get that right.
Yeah. It rolls off the tongue better, the D, like Patty's Day. Like, I mean, I'm all in. Patty is like a little too fancy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as I was telling you in the pregame here, our little pregame, which involved no beer, y'all, for the record.
Sad.
Sad, but we're both kind of busy, so we couldn't have a beer, but we get it in enough, so we're good. But I was talking to Garth about how this St. Patty's Day for me is it's the only beer holiday that we have that beer pretty much shines on its own. There might be some Irish whiskeys in the morning, the day after, or something like that. But generally, it's a beer holiday. So I wanted to have Garth out here to talk about the different aspects of this beer holiday, because that's outside of what Memorial Day and July 4th and maybe Thanksgiving, but Thanksgiving it's kind of so I just wanted to celebrate this and talk about St. Patrick's Day. So it's on Monday, y'all, and y'all should be hearing this podcast a couple days before. So there's a couple things I would love to talk to Garth about. Number one is how do you talk about St. Patty's Day without talking about green beer? And so can you talk to people who are not familiar with green beer? Because I'm pretty sure you and I both are. What exactly is green beer, and how do the brewers make that?
Yeah, most of the time it is literally green food dye. Like, it is no different than if you were to do it in your kitchen. Like, they're using the same stuff. There's nothing fancy with it. Every now and then, if a brewery wants to be fancy, I think the ingredient, I'm probably going to not pronounce this correctly, but like spirulina is a kind of an adjunct. It's basically a coloring agent. Blue-green algae is what it is. And so it gives it a more green hue, but most of the time that's used to create a greater shade of blue in beer. And then others will say, like, we barrel aged just in an absinthe barrel, or we used green hued grains in the malt bill, and that I'm like, nah, I think you're stretching a little too much of like, ooh, there's other elements that add to the green beer, and like maybe you did that, but you added green food dye, and that's how that works. I do appreciate though the changes over time of, like, it started with light lagers turned green. And I like how breweries made it, like, accepted the challenge of, what if we did a different style that was green? Like, what could we do? Okay, barrel-aged stout, not going to fly, impossible. But the amount of sours, I am seeing more green sours on the market for St. Patrick's Day than I have seen in the past. So kudos to some of the breweries doing that.
That's fun, because I was going to ask you, is there a style? Because I don't know if you want to be putting green dye in a stout, right?
Nah,
right. So these are light lagers, and these are, maybe blondes or blonde ales or something like that, where we could, because you want the green to shine through, right?
Yeah. And then I've seen some like hazy IPAs try to get the like kiwi and lime elements to it, but those like never work. I think a brewery might like try it and then realize this just is not worth it. Let's just call it a hazy and be okay with the slightly greenish hue to it. Like, it's never as green as they want it to be for the hazy IPAs.
Yes. So Everybody loves a good green beer, or some of us beer geeks don't, but we'll just leave that. Y'all can hit us in the comments on that. But
Yeah,
I wanted to talk to you about two traditional styles that have been around and aren't really so much fatty as as a green beer. Because green beers, we see them for what, like a week during the year, and then they're
yeah,
gone and they
yeah,
come back. I mean, they're fun. They're almost like the Shamrock Shake. It's fun to
yeah,
have one, or to share one, or but us serious beer geeks, we fall back on the so I want to talk to you about Irish. Let's start with the Irish dry stout.
yeah,
This is a really, really classic. This is one that everybody understands.
yep,
Obviously there's a big one that has led the way. So I'll just shut up and let the Cicerone talk about Irish style dry stouts and why they're different than the other big stouts that we're used to.
yeah. So Irish dry stouts originated off of an evolution of English porters in like the 1700s. And the masses, right, said like these porters are good, but what if it was a little creamier, but also roastier than that? So they were just like experimenting, and that was like a huge boom of, okay, we can now kiln grain differently at different temperatures and get different degrees of roastiness, and how does that impact? So in my opinion, it was such an experimental time, and there were definitely preferences to something that was just like generally smoother with a lot of character without being burnt. So like that was the challenge at the time. Obviously Guinness, the big G, the only letter I share with them in my name, right? Garth, Garth. Yeah, that's it. So the big G, I'm just a little G. The big G Guinness pioneered the dry stout and just loved it for like a little slightly bitter taste without being too roasty. Roasted barley to make it drier. So yeah, like, and then it just stuck, right? And then add in layers of marketing and just general consumer appreciation for the style. And here we are today. I literally have like, I have 3 cans in my fridge, and we could talk about my beer geekiness all day long. I do have like about 27 amazing craft beer cans in my fridge too, but I got a few cans of Guinness because you just gotta.
Yeah, a good Guinness is I don't know. I I love it. I really do. I think, a proper pour is something that we should, be having at least once a year. And this is a great time for that. While we're here, what kind of cheeses would go with this if you're trying to bring a Guinness, or you're trying to bring what's
Yeah,
the I like Three Sheeps. They have one that's great. What is it
I
called
do.
again? What's it called? It's called the I have it right here. Banshee Irish Stout.
Banshee Irish Stout. Yeah, Banshee.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, what pairs well with this one?
I'm all for like aged cheddar and like really long aged cheddar. Like the longer the better for this, because you want that sharpness that like my cheeks are even puckering a little bit at just thinking about tasting like very sharp cheddar, because you have that sharpness that contrasts with the roastiness of the dry Irish stout. And so it cancels each other out in a way that lets you appreciate the flavors more, if that makes sense. So that's
Are you
usually my
talking
go-to.
2 3 year?
Say that
I'm
again.
sorry. I'm sorry, 2 or 3 year?
Like 5. I would
Oh,
probably go no more than 10, but like 5.
okay.
Three
Okay.
is three is directionally good. I would say no less than 3.
Okay.
5 is probably like the prime sweet spot. And then if you want to be crazy and it's your third Guinness,
Yeah.
then go 10 year, go big, right?
But real quick though, as the cheese gets older, it gets creamier, doesn't it? Or does it get sharper? What is it?
For aged cheddar, it gets sharper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So you're looking for that sharpness to contrast part of that creaminess in that stout, because there's some creaminess there,
Yep.
especially in the head and all that. Yeah. That's great. It's great. All right. And do you have any so as y'all know, Garth and I, or you may not know, Garth and I are located in Madison, but I keep Garth is really, really concentrated, obviously, with his beer bar on the Madison local things, but obviously Wisconsin broader. But I have a broader view of Wisconsin because I trying to keep all that in my head here. But Garth, what are you seeing? What are some local favorites of yours that some Irish stouts? Obviously, we got Guinness, which all of y'all can find all year round, and we highly suggest that one. What else you got here? What else you got? This now maybe some seasonal ones or ones we may not see.
Yeah. So a lot of breweries, they particularly local, are all just like either doing pilot batches or like homebrew sized batches just for this event. And then they also don't do the greatest job marketing them either, because they'll just say, hey, we have a St. Patty's Day celebration, come join us. And they don't actually like promote the beer that much. And part of me thinks, not saying any of it is bad beer, but part of me thinks that it's just like not up to their normal high standards, and they're just kind of doing it. And again, I value it, appreciate it. They're doing it for the event. So most of like what I see come through purchasing lists, et cetera, for Garth Brew Bar are Wisconsin at large. Like you mentioned, the Banshee, McFleshman's is like hands down. I know they're going to create an exceptional Irish stout. So in terms of like ones that we're stocking and seeing flow through the market at large, it's those, or like Oso's Night Rain is another one that they've done year after year after year. But all the others, like all the local ones, I even have a hard time putting a finger on, hey, this brewery down the street is doing it.
Yeah, and it seems like my anecdotal view is doing this Badger Beer report and seeing all because we follow all as many brewers as we can. I'm seeing Garth, I'm seeing a lot of events. I'm seeing some big events. I'm seeing food, whether it's in-house food or whether it's carts. A lot of Rubens. I see a lot of they're going in hard on this one this year. And I'm excited about that. Actually, breweries have been going in hard on the events from I think late last year. I saw a lot of Valentine's Day, whether it be get-togethers, whether it be speed dating. There was just a lot going on, and I think it's coming. It's really going on with the St. Patty's Day. We're leaning in hard. St. Patty's Day is a Monday. As Garth knows, and a lot of y'all craft beer people know, Mondays is not a great day to be touring to see any breweries. That's a lot of times they take a lot of Mondays off. It looks like a lot of breweries are leaning in this year, and I saw
and opening up special for
opening up and being open and actually staying late to that like 10 mark, because y'all know our breweries don't generally go past 10 if they can, because that's a part of a hat tip to the bars. But that aside, there's a lot going on, y'all. So one thing I do want to say before we move on to Irish Reds is that, and I think Garth's saying this too, y'all got to check in with y'all local breweries. They're doing something. So they might be doing an Irish Red, they might be doing a stout, they might be doing just a party, they might be just bringing in they might be doing a collab. I mean, there's just so much going on, y'all. Just check in with your locals. If you're looking for something to do on Monday night, there's going to be something between your local brewery, your favorite bar, and stuff like that. So we're really coming out, Garth. I mean, I'm really seeing it this year, so I'm really excited for this year specifically, given our recent past as far as the pandemic and different things where
for sure.
So any final notes on the Irish stouts before we go on? And
I'll throw out if folks are wanting to go to places I go to, work at Draft Brewing Company. They've got again a party, not just a beer release, but a full party for St. Patty's Day, and they are releasing a dry Irish stout as well. So again, like you said, go check out your local brewery, look at the event, and probably almost guaranteed you will see which beer they are releasing for that event. But it's like event first, click in, now you see what beer they're releasing for it.
Right. Green beer, Irish beers, they'll have something on. They'll have something. They're stepping out this year. So I love a good Irish stout, and this is a good time for a year of it. Good time of year to get it from our breweries. You can always just pick up a good Guinness and roll with that. So Now, a lesser known style, Garth, is the Irish style red ale.
Yeah.
I would say that everybody knows them, and they've been around forever. Sometimes they get disguised as an American amber. So I don't know if you want to tell me the difference between that. Are we talking about an amber? Is it red because it's an amber? What's going on with the Irish red style?
Yeah. Again, like when you trace it back to the history, it's such a evolving, fast-paced time because they were like English bitters. Like if we need to pick a style of which this is rooted from, it's the English bitter. But even the English bitters was like, okay, well, what's an amber and what's an American bitter? Like we can't call it English bitter, so now we got to change that. And now you have different ordinary bitters, etc. But like the Irish twist from the English bitter was let's just make this less hoppy, more malty, which some might construe that as like that could be an amber, that could be nut brown ale, that could be a red ale, it could be an old style ale, like it could be any of those just on that slight description, right? So at the time it was just literally we have an English bitter, we want it less bitter, and thus when we make something less bitter, we're equally making it more malty or more sweet with more caramel sweetness, toasty notes, etc., but maintaining a little bit of that drier finish. Not as dry as the Irish dry stout, but still dry. So, but now, like, as confusing as it was then, I think it had a time where it was like definitively this is what an Irish red ale is. And then craft beer came along and they're like, that's cool that you think that, but we're going to do our own thing with Irish red ales. And now that's what you're seeing everywhere as well. Like if let's click through like all these events that these brewers are doing and Irish red ale that they're releasing. They're all so different. You've got high ABV Irish red ale. You've got people trying to barrel age an Irish red ale, which actually is very delicious. Oliphant has done that. You've gotten craft breweries being like, we actually liked the hoppiness of the English bitter, so we're going to do the Irish red, but make it hoppy again and still call it an Irish red. And this is my like, I share this with a lot of people. At the end of the day, the brewery gets to decide what style is on the label or on Untapped or on their website. There's no guarding entity that says you must meet these qualifications and we are calling it this style. So like, yeah, there's a BJCP guide, style guidelines for Irish red ale, but at the end of the day, you and I are going to go order an Irish red ale from two different breweries, and they're going to be very likely very different, but both called Irish red ale. So it's convoluted, right? But also that makes it exciting because you don't know what kind of Irish red ale you're going to have. So when somebody says, I had this one and it was amazing, you can't just be like, yeah, I know, I drink those all the time. You have to be like, what was yours like? Because I'm sure it was different than mine. And like, it's a good conversation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then I don't know. My little cheat sheet here says we're back to cheddar for cheeses, right?
Uh, you could. You could.
What do you like?
I tend to go like I've got, of course, I'm gonna say it's my favorite, and then I can't think of the name. It's a Gruyere. I want something that's a little bit like creamier, less sharp than a cheddar. The cheddar's mighty fine with it because it still balances out with that dryness of the Irish red. But I like to up the sweetness when I'm drinking an Irish red ale because typically it's not as full bodied, not as super sweet. So I want those two flavors to like complement each other and be a little bit more apparent on the palate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and both these styles too, low ABVs, so they're drinkable. They're made for this holiday.
No doubt.
Because this is not a sipper holiday. This is you're kicking some back holiday.
Yep.
Yeah. So local ones, Garth. We have a bunch of local kind of, I wouldn't say famous ones, but ones that I know that you're very familiar with, and we might a lot of y'all might be familiar with. The one that jumps out to me immediately is Vintage McLovin.
Oh yeah.
I think this is a. I think that's a winner somewhere. That won awards. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that has won awards. It's also like there's going to be some breweries or folks that are going to get mad at the statement, but I feel like that's like the Madison OG Irish Red Ale. Are there other breweries older than Vintage that brewed it before them? Yes, but I think if you were to, survey the Madison population and you
Mhm,
said name the Madison Irish Red,
mhm.
they would most of them would say McLovin.
Right, right. It's known around here it's pretty well, and it's actually a go to when you go to Vintage. I don't know if y'all been to Vintage. Vintage has great food, so it's always really. I always what I like about Vintage is going there and then trying to pair a nice beer with
Yeah,
nice food there. So it's always good there. Vintage
yeah,
is great. I love it. So now we talked about the Madison OG. We'll come back to Madison for you real quick, but
yeah.
there's a Green Bay OG, which is the Johnny Blood Red Ale from Titletown.
Oh, yes.
Um, so I don't know if you're familiar with that or you want to talk about that one a little bit because
Yeah,
that's a 5.2. That's a little bit high.
yeah. 5.2. At I would say like I'm pretty sure it's a year-round beer of Title Towns. Like
Yeah.
this is they are one of the very few that have pulled off doing a year-round Irish red ale. Not too
Yeah.
many breweries can say that. They're
That's fair.
all seasonal. They're all specific to this month of the year, and that's just telling to how damn good it is. And I love it in particular because it's a little bit nuttier than other Irish reds. And I think that's where, like, how I mentioned, yeah, it's what you call it. Might I call it, maybe it's closer to a nut brown ale. Maybe one might say that. But
Mm,
brewery gets to determine what it is. But I have always, every time I've had it, I always get a little bit more like nutty notes to that beer than I do in other Irish reds, but it also like in a good way. It's still
mm,
smooth, it's still caramely, still light.
mm, mm. Excellent, excellent. And what do what do, I just think too? Did I just take your two favorites?
Those are like the go-to. Irish red, that one's even like harder to come by. I feel like around St. Patty's Day, most breweries they go after the dry Irish stout, and maybe you can get an Irish red. Like there's Third Ward in Milwaukee does one. I feel like it's called Cowboy something, maybe Cowboy Irish or Cowboy
Mm,
Red Ale.
okay.
Uh, they do a decent one. That's pretty popular. Yeah, the tile time, and those are just historic. I feel like yeah, most breweries don't try to reinvent the Irish red style as much as other themed styles.
Yeah, and we just want to give y'all something. Listen, if y'all just like the green beer, just get the green beer. We're good. We're fine with that. But if y'all wanted a little something complex, or y'all also are going to any most people go out on I believe that most people go out on St. Patty's Day. But if you're going to an event or you're going to a friend's house, or you're just over this weekend, you're coming out and you want to be able to grab something different and nice, something unique to bring to. I was when Garth, when you go to any kind of gathering, it's nice to bring like a bottle of wine or a 6-pack or something. I
Mm-hmm.
would definitely look for McLovin. I'm pretty sure you could go find it at Vintage for sure. And I'm not sure about Titletown, but I don't know why they wouldn't have their Irish, red on during the
Yeah.
Irish time. I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me. So I bet you it's there. So check
Yep.
it out if you're in that area, or Titletown gets down here, right? Garth?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you'll find it around the area.
Yep. Excellent,
Yep.
excellent. So Garth, before we get to lightning round here and we start to wrap up, are there any other styles that you think are there any first of all, are there any other styles that you think I could bring to my St. Patty's Day event this weekend?
Yeah.
Or are there any also styles that people don't look for around this time that you think people are drinking or that you see
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
are asking for?
Yeah, for sure. I got two for you. These are usually my go-tos when they're like, I want something for St. Patty's Day that's not the expected, but still aligns with the theme. Tyrnina, they're sheep shagger. It's a Scotch ale. If you could find other Scotch ales, that's awesome. I think they're like very
What is that
eclectic.
called again? What is that
Uh,
called again?
sheep shagger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Got it.
Yeah. Remove your search history after you Google that. Yeah.
Well, that and the alliteration kind of threw me off. I knew what you were talking about, but yeah. So Sheep Shagger from Tyrena, they're from they're on Lake Mills, y'all.
Lake Mills. Yep. So very like caramel laden beer, warming. It's a nice sipper. And then my other one, this is like every year, personal favorite of mine is Third Space's Mystic Knot. They basically said to themselves,
Mm.
we like Irish coffee. Uh, what if we turn that into a nice beer? And so they have the barrel aged Irish coffee stout, big boozy whiskey barrel aged, inspired by the Irish coffee, which I love Irish coffees, and the Mystic Knot just scratches the itch. So like that is, we have it on tap at Garth Brew Bar every year. We've sometimes gotten our hands on some variants of Mystic Knot or some verticals of Mystic Knot as well. That's always fun. But that's a solid one. Very, very solid one.
Yeah, Third Space is good, y'all, for they're just good. So in my opinion, of course. Any underrated styles? You gave us some underrated beers. Any underrated styles? Anything? Because this is spring's a tough time. Like especially in Wisconsin, because again, what was it today? 60. What's it going to be tomorrow? 30. What's it going to be the next day? 70. What's it going to be the day after that? 35. It's going to snow one of those days. It's going to rain one of those days. It's going to be hot one of those days. So it's just hard to really pick you know what I mean? You're almost running around. So I didn't know if there's anything before we get to the lightning round.
Underrated, I think Box are, and maybe one of the reasons I say that it's underrated in this time of year is because it scratches the itch when you have that one day of winter, when you're like, it's spring. Nah, it's that's false spring, fool spring. So I love Box, but I think it's underrated at this time of year because it's a great precursor to My Box. And like you are rounding out the cold months with the Bach, and now you get to a lighter version, My Bach. And I feel like every year I see this at the bar too. My Bachs just don't move as quickly as any brewery would hope that they would, despite it being timed out perfectly, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think they need a little encouragement beforehand. If I'm in the mindset of a Bach, hey, I was loving that, but I'm done with dark, like heavier beers. Oh, that's an awesome segue. I still get the style historic element of a Bach, but in a lighter version.
Yeah, we're Wisconsinites. We're gonna drink something.
Yep.
We're gonna have something. So before we get to the lightning round, I do want to this is disclaimer time, y'all. While we are here Garth and I are here celebrating and talking about celebrating St. Patty's Day. We need everybody to be safe and smart and wise about the way y'all drinking. Drink responsibly, please, and have fun. And yeah, that's my disclaimer. Garth, do you want to add anything on that?
No, just ditto. Be cool.
Yeah. So we're gonna be cool here, and we're gonna end with the lightning round where I test our Cicerone. So got 3 questions for you real quick here, and we'll wrap it up. And y'all gonna have a great March and St. Patty's Day weekend. But if March, Garth, what beer style do you think March would be?
A milkshake IPA, because you think it's one thing and then it ends up being another.
That's great. All right. I wasn't expecting that. Most people, I ask this question every March, and I usually hear Saison. So
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. I almost don't even allow it anymore because it's just like, nah, that's what everybody says. So
milkshake IPA.
That's a great one. That's a good one.
March is a headbanger.
Yeah. Oh, I already asked you this question. Do you have an underrated beer style for this time of year? Ooh, that was bad, Greg.
Yeah. Yes, I do. Listen 8.5 minutes.
Right. And last and certainly not least, because this is so timely. Do you have a go-to hangover remedy?
I am. The answer is no, but I'm not going to leave the answer at no. I'm a prevention over cleanup guy, so my remedy is a glass of water with every beer. Do that, and your hangover will be remedied in the morning. But if you're really gonna twist my arm, like leftovers, man, like corned beef and hash, yeah, just make a hodgepodge, throw eggs in there, throw some potatoes in there, make it greasy, thick, and filling.
Yeah. The lightning round is for Garth and not me, but I will second everything he just said. Um, and on that note, we are going to wrap up. I want to thank Garth for joining me again and bringing his expertise and his knowledge to this conversation. And any final notes here, Garth? We'll see you probably to talk about maybe Memorial Day or 4th of July, or I don't know. We might come up with something. But Garth's appearances here, y'all, are going to be I was gonna say sporadic, but I don't think that's a great word. I think what's the word I forget the word we used. It's gonna be frequent, but we're going to pick and choose when we have when things are timely to talk to y'all. So we
Yeah,
felt that St. Patty's Day would be a good day because again it's one of our major beer holidays. So we'll be hanging around the beer holidays, y'all.
yeah,
Any kind of beer holiday we'll be talking. What's up? What's going on, Garth? Any last words?
yeah. Last words I'll say. Every year in March we do a guest appreciation, neighborhood community appreciation day where we give out free beer. We fill growlers. Bring two growlers. We fill it up for free. We run it until we run out of beer. Every keg gets kicked. Runs from 5 to 7 p.m. Most of the time, the kegs are done or kicked by like 6:20, 6:30. And the reason I'm all talking about this is because we are doing it on Monday, St. Patty's Day.
Oh,
You can swing in because we're not traditional, like you said, we're not open on Mondays, but it felt like an opportunistic time to go ahead and open and let the beer lines flow for free.
is this the first time y'all doing it on St. Patty's Day?
On St. Patty's Day, yeah, but this is now the fourth year that
Uh,
we've been doing it.
Look at that. I don't have. Oh, I do have a growler. I don't know. I might see you on Monday. So that's Monday, y'all. Garth's Beer Bar, and bring. I'm sorry, Garth's Brew Bar, and bring your growler, right?
Yeah, up to two growlers. Clean
Look at
them,
that, y'all.
bring caps, but yeah, two
And
growlers, we will get you the beer.
And just so y'all know, I mean, if y'all don't already know, just a disclaimer: Garth does not have any. Garth's beer is always fresh. He's a certified Cicerone, so he has no tolerance for any kind of 7-year IPAs or any of that nonsense. So you know that the beer is fresh. You know it's hand picked by him, and I know that it's going to be good. So you know it's going to be a good selection there. Garth's not, Garth loves his IPAs, but he's just not, going to have like 12 IPAs, so he's going to have like 5 IPAs probably, or three,
Yep.
maybe 3. And okay, right, and the rest are going to be a good variety, y'all. So that's Monday. Y'all should be able to check that out if y'all in the Madison area. Heck, if you're not in the Madison area, bring a crowler and take a little trip. So thanks, Garth. Thanks,
Thank
Garth,
you.
for joining me and agreeing to do this with me every, so often month, probably. And we will see y'all on the next edition of Badger Beer Report with Garth. Maybe we should just call it that.
Yeah.
Calling all craft beer enthusiasts. Whether you're a hophead, a stout lover, or just someone looking to sip on something unique, Garth's Brew Bar is your new favorite destination. Located right in the heart of Monroe Street, this cozy, community-focused craft beer bar serves up an ever-rotating lineup of exceptional drafts and hard seltzers from the best breweries around.